Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. The other day, my lovely postman delivered a package. He delivered 4 issues of Warhammer 40,000 Conquest. This is the Partworks magazine from Hatchet Partworks. I am currently running a series on this. I am a subscriber, so I am receiving, every month I receive 4 issues of this magazine in the post in one lump. So yeah, 4 every month, and I've already covered issue 1 and issue 2, and here we are with issue 3. Now, if you don't know what's going on with this Partworks magazine, Hatchet Partworks have teamed up with Games Workshop, and it's a weekly magazine at $7.99. It's pretty darn pricey, and every week you get a magazine. I mean, it's every week, but it's every month if you subscribe, because they send them in monthly slabs. But every issue, you get a magazine, and you get some Games Workshop products. Now, it may be miniatures, it may be paints, it may be hobby accessories, it may be terrain. The first few issues have been very good value in that regard, but obviously the first few issues are the hook for the fishies. Issue 3, we're still in kind of like the pretty decent value terrain. I don't know why I said terrain. We're still in the pretty decent value area of the period of the subscription. I think later on it may dip. But anyway, so here we are with issue 3. We will look at the magazine in a moment. The magazine, I'm not overly excited by or impressed by. That's not fair to say I'm impressed by it. I actually think the magazine is doing a pretty decent job of breaking down Warhammer 40,000 8th edition and introducing it to newer gamers. I'm just not necessarily that target market. So when I'm looking at it, I look at it as two things. I have to look at it from the perspective of how it introduces the game for new people, which is what it's intended for. And I think in that regard, it's doing a really decent job. It's perhaps a little bit too bitty because it has to be weekly. It's sort of covering the same ground sometimes more than once, when it doesn't really necessarily need to. But overall, it's a pretty good step-by-step introduction to the hobby, and so I'm impressed with it in that regard. But I'm not that impressed with it. Obviously, from my point of view, it's not the interesting bit for me. The interesting bit for me is all the other stuff. And in this particular issue, the other stuff is quite nicely packaged, as we can see. A sprue of, these are the Space Marine Primaris Reavers. They are the terror troops. They are sort of bolt pistol, combat knife wielding, skull faced. I don't know if his skull is going to come out on camera, but I don't know if that's going to come out. But he's got a skull face because he's spooky. He's a spooky Halloween-based Primaris. So these are the terror troops, and this is a sprue of 3. This sprue is available from Games Workshop for £10. It also comes in the Warhammer 40,000 First Strike box set, along with a bunch of other miniatures. So, there are other ways to obtain it, but if you pay full price in Games Workshop, that's a £10 sprue. So, considering the magazine is $7.99 anyway, that's pretty good going. But also, there is a pot of Lead Belcher paint, which is a nice little addition as well. Lead Belcher it's a really useful colour. I mean, it's the colour that you're going to be going to for. Sorry, I'm just going to get this out of the front. These are the bases, by the way. I'm going to get that out of shot because it's annoying me. But yeah, Lead Belcher is a pretty useful colour. It serves as a base for a lot of metal parts and things like that. And yeah, it's a useful little addition. They've obviously introduced it so that you can paint all those combat knives on those miniatures. So that's what you're getting on the cover of the magazine. You're getting the Reavers, you're getting a sprue of Reavers, and then you're getting the Lead Belcher paint. and Leadbelcher, I should point out, is it's £2.55 a pot. So that's £12.55 of goodies on the cover of the magazine. And then you have the magazine itself. So what have we got? Here you go, there's a picture of a Reaver with his skull mask. Spooky dude. What have we got? Right, it's a nice picture highlighting different bits of the Reaver war gear. There's the way these magazines work is they don't have a spine, they're hole punched, because you can get official Warhammer 40,000 Conquest binders, which are going to be stupidly overpriced, or you can just use any old binders, and you break them up into sections. Like this is a section on 40k battles, and it's got a history of a battle, and then here we've got the assembly section. And this is one of the things I was saying. We get a lot of repeat performances in these magazines. This Clipper Safety section has been in every issue so far, and I kind of get why it has to be there. Clipper Safety is important, especially if you're aiming this magazine at younger people. But it's kind of one of those drawbacks of being a weekly magazine rather than maybe a fortnightly magazine. It's, you know, you're seeing it every single week. And yeah, they've basically got these same images. But hey, I'm always duplicating content and showing people how to cut stuff off of sprues on my channel, so I can't really cast stones, can I? Really nice assembly instructions. These are the official assembly instructions that came with the sprues. If you buy them from Games Workshop, this is the instructions you get. Very straightforward. These are easy, I should say. These are the easy build Reavers. They go together without glue. They have slaughter bases, so you don't even need to glue them onto the base. And you know, they go together in you know, they're just a few bits. And they go together really easily. And then we've got the section on how to paint your Reavers. We've got that picture of a brush going into a pot. I've used that picture every issue. And yeah, so they're talking about this. They've previously given away different pots of paint. So we've got the blue, the Macrack blue, Retributor armor, the new Leadbelcher, and Abaddon black. And there you go. He's blue. And then they've put some black detail on, and then some Retributor armor goes on, and then some Leadbelcher goes on, and there you go. He's looking very much at that stage looking like a pre-painted miniature. It's like a HeroClix at this point. And look, oh, and then they go back and say, oh, do you remember those Marines, those Death Guard Marines we gave you last issue? Slap some Leadbelcher on them too. And then don't forget those Intercessors from issue 1. That's pretty cool. It's nice. It's nice that they've kind of gone through the stages. They've gone through the stages with what you can do so far for the Reavers, and then they have gone back and said, okay, and now you can add this colour to your models from previous issues. That's quite nice. It's a nice little callback. It shows, you know, they're going to keep going back to those miniatures, and I suppose that highlights as well something that I've said in a previous video, and it's something that I say to people who may be a little bit reluctant to get into painting. And that's that a miniature's never finished until you say it's finished. You can paint a miniature to a certain level, play with it for years, and then when you feel like, you know, maybe you've developed your talents in painting a bit more, you can go back and you know, paint a bit more on them. You're never done with a miniature unless you want to be done with a miniature, and this kind of, it's like that in practice. It's like they painted them to a certain standard, and this guy is the guy who doesn't have a helmet, so he has the Smurf face, which always makes me smile. He's got his black hair and his Smurfy face. But yeah, he's obviously not a finished product, but they've shown you that you can paint to a certain degree, so they look better than just the plain plastic. Get them on the table, play some games, put a bit more paint on them, play some games. You don't have to paint everything first and have everything ready, everything done. So there we go. Oh, and then we've got a tutorial for Blade to Blade with rules for, what's this, counter-attacking? Last issue, you learned the basics of the game of Warhammer 40,000. You can now move, shoot, wound, and make saving throws. But what about the cut and thrust of hand-to-hand combat? Read on to learn how to charge and fight. Yeah, they didn't mention any of that last time. So here we go. So it's doing a rules update to introduce those new concepts into the rules, which is cool. And they've done this thing. There's no data cards in this. What I would have really liked, and I've mentioned this in a previous video, I would have really liked if every issue you got the data card for the miniatures that are in that particular issue, even if it's just printed inside the magazine in a little cutout section or something. Just because I like the fact that the tutorials are kind of breaking out the bits you need and not messing things up with unnecessary detail, like showy offy foods do. But that's cool when you're learning the game, but it would be nice to have the data cards as well. I hope they're going to start introducing those in later issues, because it would be nice to have them. I do feel like if you're getting a miniature with the magazine, you should get the little data card with the rules on for using that miniature. And then you've got some stuff on charging. You've got some nice clear diagrams covering Overwatch, things like that. More on Overwatch. Wildfire. And then the fighting tutorial, going over the hand-to-hand combat stuff. And then finally covering consolidation. It's very, very thorough. I think they're doing a really good job of breaking down Warhammer 40,000 and shipping it out in bite-sized pieces and just working through things in a very thorough manner. To have, you've got a whole page on consolidation, which is quite cool. And then there's a replay section where it basically says that the mission that you played last week, add in your extra rules and go at it again. So you're gradually sort of it's iterative, and you gradually learn more and more. And they're showing you new rules for new weapons and things. The downside to this, of course, is you've got some of the rules in this issue, you'll have some of the rules in the last issue. Even once you break, when you break these pages out and put them in a binder or something, there's still not going to be, all the weapon rules should be in the same place, and they won't be. They're going to be on different pages and things. So I do hope there's some sense of consolidation later on. But I do think for new players and younger players, they're doing a decent job. And that's the end of the magazine. Like I said, the magazine isn't much of much, really. It's good for what it is, but for me personally, it's not the highlight. Let's have a little sneak of what's going on next issue. So the next issue will have a jar of Bugman's glow paint and a set of the easy build Poxwalkers. Those are cool. I've got a set of those already. And then should we do a really sneak peek and go one issue ahead? Exclusive! This is exciting. This is something I'm looking forward to. There is an exclusive miniature, and it is Lieutenant Calcius. They've obviously got an issue where they're adding heroes to games, and yeah, I used to have a haircut like that when I was at school. That's why I didn't have any mates. Yeah, that's an exclusive miniature. That's not available anywhere else, and he's quite cool. He's drawing his power sword. So that's something decent. But yeah, so there we are. So that's issue 3. It's all right. The magazine's good for what it is. The value of the stuff on the cover is $12.55. I will put up some numbers here because I'm doing a bit of a running total of if you subscribe to the magazine and you buy those magazines against the cost of buying everything you get with the magazine at retail. There's always a way of getting things cheaper. A lot of websites will do 20% off, things like that. But if you were buying everything retail from Games Workshop versus the cost of subscribing to the magazine, I think at the moment, by the time we got to the end of issue 2, the savings added up to about £24.17, if I recall correctly. And now we've got this, there was $12.55 of value here, and the issue was $7.99. So it's not, the value between what you're paying and what you're getting is coming down a little bit, but you know, there's still value. And that's all I've got to say on that. If you have any questions or comments about Warhammer 40,000 Conquest, if you want to know a bit more about it, or if you're subscribing and you want to share your opinions, do please leave comments and stuff. I do my best to answer everybody if I can. And if you like what you've seen here, then do consider giving me a thumb up. And if you didn't like what you see here, then well, sorry, I guess. Bye everybody. Bye bye.